You thought you knew how to drive in Australia. But what if everything you learned is already outdated and the government is watching you right now with AI cameras, waiting for you to make just one mistake that wipes your license clean off the system forever? Welcome to Aussie Gateway, your number one destination for everything Australians need to know about living, working, and surviving down under. If you are new here, smash that subscribe button right now, because today we are covering something that every single person with a driver's license in Australia needs to hear before they get behind the wheel again. We are talking about the massive wave of new road rules that have already started rolling out across the country in 2026, and trust me, most drivers have absolutely no idea how serious these changes are. We are talking lower speed limits, AI-powered cameras, strict new license rules for older drivers, tougher penalties for motorcyclists, crackdowns on e-bikes and e-scooters, a complete overhaul of how fines are collected, and much more. Whether you drive every single day for work or just hop in the car on weekends to grab groceries, these rules affect you directly. So stay with us until the very end, because the last rule we cover could be the one that saves your license. Let us start with the big picture first. 2025 was one of the deadliest years on Australian roads in more than a decade, and governments across every state and territory have responded with serious, wide-reaching reforms. The message from authorities is loud and clear. The margin for error on Australian roads is shrinking fast, and if you are not keeping up with the changes, the system will catch you before you even realize you broke a rule. Which car? Now let us break this down, state by state and rule by rule, so you know exactly what is happening where you live. Starting with speed limits, because this is where the biggest change hits the most drivers. The default speed limit in residential neighborhoods is being lowered from the current 50 kilometers per hour to just 40 kilometers per hour, while major highways will see a reduction from 110 kilometers per hour to 100 kilometers per hour. That is a significant change, and if you are not paying attention to updated signage, you can find yourself being fined without even realizing you were speeding. Speed camera networks are being expanded, average speed cameras are popping up in new areas, and the days of getting away with doing 60 in a 50 zone are well and truly over. Merino homes. In school zones and high pedestrian areas, things are getting even tighter. School zones and high pedestrian areas could soon see speed limits drop from 40 kilometers per hour to 30 kilometers per hour, a measure aimed at protecting kids and pedestrians. This is not just a proposal sitting in a drawer somewhere. In New South Wales, there is already a proposal before Parliament, and in Queensland, several locations have already seen limits drop from 50 kilometers per hour to 40 kilometers per hour, with further reductions expected across the state in 2026, particularly in areas like the Hervey Bay Esplanade and parts of the Cairns CBD. If you are a parent doing the school run every morning, you need to know these limits have changed near your local school. A single fine in a school zone can hit your wallet hard and put demerit points on your license faster than you think. Yahoo! Which car? Now let us talk about something that is genuinely game-changing for enforcement, and honestly a little bit scary if you are not aware of it. Australia is rolling out AI-powered cameras that do not just catch speeders anymore. The ACT has already introduced AI-powered traffic cameras that began enforcing seatbelt compliance in late 2025, and the technology automatically detects drivers and passengers not wearing seatbelts correctly and is now fully operational across the territory. Think about that for a second. You do not need a police officer to pull you over. The camera sees you, identifies the violation, captures your number plate, and a fine is on its way to your letterbox before you have even arrived at your destination. Many states are expanding the use of mobile phone detection cameras and AI-powered enforcement systems, and these systems can detect drivers holding phones, texting, or using devices illegally while driving. In addition to higher fines, drivers may face immediate license suspensions for repeated violations. Yahoo! Plus two, Western Australia is also upping its game when it comes to camera technology. Western Australia is increasing its number of point-to-point cameras and near-miss monitoring trailers to highways around the regions. Point-to-point cameras measure your average speed over a long distance, not just at one spot, so you cannot slow down for the camera and speed up again. These systems are brutal for catching people who think they can game the system, and they are now spreading beyond just the highways. Multaka Northeast. Let us move on to one of the most talked about changes of 2026, and that is the new rules around older drivers and license renewals. This is a big one. Starting February 2026, motorists over the age of 70 are required to undergo compulsory medical examinations every 12 to 18 months, including vision, cognitive, and mobility assessments. The license can be reduced to 1 to 2 years in conditions like daylight. Only driving may be imposed on those who require assistance. Western Australia and the Northern Territory will complete their adoption of this framework by early 2026, meaning all older drivers across the country will face non-automatic license renewals tied to health and driving ability. If you have a parent or grandparent over 70 who is still driving, please make sure they are across this because failing to get the required medical assessment done can mean their license is not renewed, and they could technically be driving without a valid license, which opens up a whole other legal nightmare. Acute software plus 2. Now, if you ride a motorcycle, pay very close attention to this part. From July 1st, novice motorbike riders face tougher requirements under changes to the motorcycle graduated licensing scheme in New South Wales. Under the new measures, all learner P1 and P2 riders must wear approved protective gloves at all times, and learner riders must also wear an approved high-visibility vest or jacket. These are not optional accessories anymore. They are legal requirements, and police will be looking for compliance. Higher penalties will apply for speeding, failure to wear a helmet, careless riding, illegally carrying passengers, and riding e-scooters, e-skateboards, or e-unicycles on prohibited roads from July 1st. NRM. ANRMA. Speaking of e-bikes and e-scooters, this is an area where the rules have gotten extremely specific and very strict, especially in Queensland. Queensland is introducing tougher e-bike and e-scooter laws from July 1st, including the ability for police to seize and destroy illegal devices and to enforce random breath tests for drink riding, with a 0.05 blood alcohol limit applying. Yes, you read that right. You can get a drink riding charge on an e-scooter. A 25 kilometers per hour speed limit will be applied to e-scooters and other personal mobility devices, and a 12 kilometers per hour speed limit will apply to e-bikes, e-scooters, and other personal mobility devices when using footpaths and shared paths. If you are someone who rides an e-scooter to work or around the neighborhood, these rules apply to you and the penalties for non-compliance are serious. NRMA. Let us talk about fines now, because the way fines work in Victoria is changing in a very significant way from July 1st, 2026. Under the Fines Reform Regulations 2026, infringements which are not paid by the first due date will face higher penalty fees. If you are a serial fine dodger, it is time to take notice because there is less room to slip through the cracks. The whole system for collecting unpaid traffic fines is being tightened up, with escalating penalties kicking in faster than they used to. The new system is designed to ensure penalties are paid promptly with adjustments to the amount and timing of payment for those who breach the law. Do not ignore a fine and think it will just disappear. That strategy is going to cost you significantly more money in 2026 than it ever did before. NRMA plus 2. In South Australia, fines for exceeding the speed limit will increase, and drink drivers will also face increased penalties, with those caught with less than 0.08 grams of alcohol and 100 milliliters of blood facing fines of $904, up from $875. Small increases, yes, but they signal a clear direction. Every year, these penalties will keep going up. Queensland will experience a 3.4% increase in vehicle registration fees, plus a CPI increase for speeding offenses. NRMA. There is also a really important change for drivers who have had their license canceled or refused. If your license has been canceled or refused, you will now need to pass new competency-based assessments before you can get back on the road. This is part of the National Heavy Vehicle Driver Competency Framework, and it is designed to make sure that only truly capable and fit drivers are back behind the wheel after serious violations. This is not just for truck drivers either. As part of the National Heavy Vehicle Driver Competency Framework, scheduled to begin rollout in July 2026, There will also be competency-based assessments for people who have their driver's license canceled or refused before they are allowed to be reissued with a license. Your life choices, Yahoo! One genuinely positive change in New South Wales is worth mentioning too, because not everything rolling out in 2026 is bad news. The New South Wales government is about to make the demerit point reward scheme permanent, which will allow drivers who maintain a clean 12-month record to have one demerit point removed from their license. You do not even need to apply. If you are eligible, Transport for NSW will automatically remove the point. So for good drivers, this is a real reward for staying safe and following the rules. Multica Northeast. Now, let us also talk about what all this enforcement actually means for your everyday drive. More than 31,000 motorists were penalized as technology exposed dangerous driving that was previously going unnoticed. That number is going to keep climbing as more cameras, more AI systems, and more enforcement tools come online in 2026 and beyond. The era where you could get away with a small violation because no officer happened to be nearby is genuinely over. A road safety expert has said that the margin for error is shrinking, and that if you break a rule, the system is more likely to catch it. That is not a warning to be taken lightly. Which car John Forrest? So, what do you actually need to do right now? First, check the speed limit changes in your suburb and near your local schools, because new signage may already be up that you have not noticed. Second, if you or someone in your family is over 70, make sure you are on top of the new medical assessment requirements before your next license renewal comes around. Third, if you ride a motorbike on L or P plates in New South Wales, get your protective gloves and high-vis gear sorted before July 1st. Fourth, if you ride an e-bike or e-scooter anywhere in Queensland, know your speed limits and never ride after drinking. Fifth, pay your fines on time in Victoria because the new escalation system means delays will cost you more. And sixth, make sure your seatbelt is always on properly, especially in the ACT, because those AI cameras do not miss a thing. That is a wrap on everything you need to know about Australia's new road rules for 2026. These changes are already in effect, or rolling in fast, and every single driver on Australian roads needs to be aware of them. Knowledge is not just power on Australia's roads in 2026, it is protection. John Forrest. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up because it genuinely helps more Aussie drivers find this information before they get caught out. Share it with your family, your mates, your parents, and anyone you know who drives in Australia because the information in this video could literally save someone's license. Drop a comment below and let us know which rule surprised you the most. We read every single comment on this channel. Do not forget to subscribe to Aussie Gateway and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update like this one. We will keep bringing you the most important news and changes that affect your life in Australia because that is what we do here every single day. Stay safe out there, drive smart, and we will see you in the next one.